We're back on the record. It's 12:10. Two things I need to say on the record. One, although commissioners spoke with each other during the break, no one discussed the evidence that has been brought in. Secondly, Mr. Thorson, you remain under oath.
Despite talking during the break, the commission.
I've got it on mute. You were sort of you. That's us. That's move. Well, that's what I meant. Yeah, but it's. I agree. Imagine I'm talking.
Shall I continue?
Oh, yours.
Thank you. Okay, Director Thorson. Of course, now, let's focus on the lunch on March 10th. At the end of the tour, did you and David Patton, Lindsay Scanapico, and Everett Abitbull go to Berwin's restaurant?
Yes,
That's located within the Bach building.
yes.
Were you all seated at a table?
Yes.
Was anyone else in the restaurant?
Just restaurant, the chef and kitchen.
Kitchen staff? At any time during the lunch, were you at all aware that the restaurant had been opened for lunch just to accommodate you and David Patton?
No.
But you were the only diners in the restaurant?
Yes.
What time of day was it when you were seated?
11:15.
Do you recall what food you were served?
It was a mixture, it was a number of dishes, small dishes that were served family style. The head chef, Mike was his name, came over and introduced himself and said that he would be making us some dishes for, that his mama, who's Sicilian, used to make.
Okay. Was there swordfish?
I don't think there was swordfish. There might have been swordfish.
Showing you exhibit 23.
Okay.
Does that, is that the actual, on the second page of exhibit 23, is that the invoice that you ultimately received from Owens?
Yes,
Does that accurately reflect the dishes that were served that day?
I believe so.
So again, commissioners, this is exhibit P23 and there's it's an attachment that was attached to you, so page 3 on your file. So yes, that's accurate.
I think so. I mean, this is, I got the invoice and I see, but if you'd asked me what I had for lunch that day, I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Thank you. And it does reflect, what was the per person price of the meal?
$131.15.
Thank you. So you do recall the head chef, Mike Ferrari, coming to your table
Yes,
and describing the dishes that he was serving, I assume?
briefly, yes.
Can you describe David Patton's behavior at the restaurant?
Well, like shortly after we sat down, he got up and said that he was going to wash his hands. And left the table. And then he didn't come back for another, seemed like forever, but I think it was 20 minutes. He sat down for the last few minutes of the lunch, maybe 10 minutes. And that's how the lunch ended.
What did you discuss with Lindsay and Everett during lunch?
Discuss what we saw on the tour. Discussed how he mentioned to me that he was, excuse me, Everett mentioned to me that he was planning to visit with the Speaker of the House to talk to him about the potential for a budget amendment. He mentioned that he had a lobbyist, and I said somebody I'd never met, but I made a comment that I shouldn't have made, that. I thought he had been overcharged in some sort of a file,
This lobbyist Jeff Britt.
yes. Please step back. And we also discussed, how to get the project on track. And what would happen. And how that would have to happen.
So
During the speaker,
So during the lunch, they're talking to you about getting the project back on track, lobbying the Speaker, of the House of Representatives to help get that budget amendment going, the $15 million budget amendment, I assume we're talking about.
yes.
And discussing the Bach building, and I assume, hoping that you saw it as a great example of what they could do with the Cranston Street Armory.
I think that's fair and accurate.
Is it fair to say they're lobbying you during this lunch?
I didn't really feel that way. And the reason was because I really, at this point, had already decided that I wasn't gonna factor into I was gonna be any significant position to be involved in the decision on that.
But you still went on the trip.
Of course I did. It was to transition really effectively. Without actually doing a formal transition. If that makes sense, I wanted to position Patton in a position, put him in a position of being able to lead the project going forward. Yeah.
During the time when David Patton was not at the table, did you discuss his behavior with Lindsay and Everett?
No,
Did you apologize for any of his behavior that day?
no,
Have you ever apologized to either of them for David Patton's behavior that day?
I have no.
No. Was the table or anyone at the table ever presented with a bill to your knowledge?
No,
Did you ask Everett or Lindsay how the lunch bill was being paid?
no,
Did they tell you that David Patton had paid for lunch?
no,
Is it your normal practice at a restaurant to get up and leave before the bill is brought to the table?
no.
If it takes too long for a bill to come at a restaurant, what would your normal practice be?
To ask the waiter for the bill.
At any time before you returned to the airport, did you ask anyone about how the lunch had been paid for?
No. On the way to the airport, I was on the phone, with my chief of staff, asking for a meeting with HR.
In the statement that you released, which you've previously seen as exhibit P1, did you indicate that you thought that David Patton had paid for lunch? P1, exhibit P1.
Can you ask your question again, please?
Sure. I mean, let me refer you to the third paragraph from the bottom, which seems to be the paragraph regarding lunch. You could read that to yourself.
Mhm. Would you like me to read it?
Sure, yes, if you could read it.
As to lunch, I did not make an inquiry as to where we would eat an early lunch prior to departing for the airport for a mid-afternoon flight. I sat down to eat with two Scout representatives at around 11 a.m. There were no other diners in the restaurant at that time because it was so early. I did not attach significance to that observation. Once I learned what had occurred regarding the early opening of the restaurant, I sent an email to Scout advising that I wanted to pay for the meal. Thereafter, I forwarded a bank check drawn from my personal funds.
So is there anything in the statement that indicates that you were under the impression that David Patton was taking care of payment for the lunch?
Not in this statement, no.
Thank you. Isn't it true that your biggest concern with David Patton on Friday afternoon was his behavior the prior evening during the Thursday get together?
That is true.
And you just mentioned, I think before our break, that you thought that David Patton's relationship with Scout was still salvageable. Is that right?
Yes,
And I think you previously noted in your statement, and correct me if I'm wrong about this, the statement you just looked at, that upon returning to Providence on Friday, you met with the state's AR and your chief of staff to discuss David Patton.
HR. Yes, yes. That's correct. I met with HR and with my chief of staff regarding the allegations that were percolating up regarding the night before.
Right. This meeting didn't have to do with the trip to Philadelphia, is that right?
Not directly, no.
You would have still had this meeting regardless of what happened in Philadelphia?
Absolutely, yes.
Yes. And at this point on Friday, Scout had not sent an email to the governor's chief of staff, is that correct?
That's correct.
That was Sunday afternoon, correct?
He called me around noontime on Sunday.
So at that meeting, so you had a meeting with your chief of staff and with HR on Friday afternoon after you returned to Providence?
That was correct.
Did you disclose in that meeting Patton's behavior that day during the pool?
I don't think I talked much, I'm sure I didn't talk that much about it. And that's because some of the behavior that was alleged later on was not evident to me at that time. What my primary concern was is that I had employees who were alleging inappropriate behavior the night before. And that's something that wasn't specified. And I needed to get more facts about and a statement, something in writing. So that was my primary concern. At this point, I wanted HR to be very much involved.
At that meeting, did you mention having had lunch at Irwin's in Philadelphia?
I don't remember doing that.
At that meeting, do you recall whether you detailed any of the inappropriate things that David Patton had said to Lindsay Spanapico and or any of the Bach tenants?
I don't believe I did that.
Did you report at that time David Patton's behavior in Philadelphia to anyone at the government?
No,
So the next day would be Saturday, March 11th. On that day, is it true you had a lengthy text exchange with Christopher Farrell of the governor's office?
yes,
And he was asking you how the trip was, is that correct?
yes,
And if he was with you?
yes.
And what was your response?
I said that the project checks all the boxes and we'd have to figure out how to finance it and send some pictures.
Okay, so check the boxes, needed to figure out how to finance it, send some pictures.
Well, with respect to the governor's objectives of income, improving income, healthier outcomes, and improving education.
Was your understanding that as you were texting, Christopher Farrell was sitting with the governor?
He said he was with the governor.
But you didn't say anything about David Patton or his behavior during the Bach tour, is that
I
correct?
did not.
Moving on to Sunday, which would have been March 12th. Did David Patton on that day send you a memo detailing and recounting your trip and visit? Or maybe it came at a later date?
I think it came on Monday. or Sunday night or Monday. I think it was Monday.
At some point on Sunday, were you contacted by the governor's chief of staff, Antonio Alfonso?
Yes,
Um,
around noontime.
now, did you talk to him more than once on Sunday?
I don't think so.
Was that phone call about David Patton's behavior on Thursday evening, or was it about the email that he had received from Scout?
He called me and he asked me, how did your trip go? And I said, well, not great in some respects. Dave was difficult to handle. And in fact, I disclosed at that time that I had an HR situation with his behavior at ladder 133. That there were some allegations of impropriety. And he said, that checks out because I got an email from Jeff Britt. And he read some portions of that email to me. And I was quite surprised.
Opening up to what is marked as exhibit 31, which I asked to be marked for identification at this time.
So Mark.
Showing you what has been marked as P31 for identification. Your understanding that this is the email that you were just describing Antonio Alfonso speaking to about?
It appears to be so.
Okay, I'm gonna object and you follow my stuff. At least as I understand it, if something's marked for identification that hasn't yet been admitted into evidence, that finders of fact shouldn't all be reading it.
Well,
A little
pretty
later.
sure that, respectfully, you gave it to us to review before the meeting, where we discussed the exhibits, correct?
I apologize, yeah, I didn't understand you.
So when we were on March 3rd, we addressed a bunch of exhibits that you presented to us, right?
That we objected to.
Yeah, and one of those was this exhibit, wasn't it?
Yes, it is.
So we'd all looked at it then, hadn't we? In order to be able to respond to your arguments.
You're 100% correct.
Well, let's just,
We're in the evidentiary stage. I thought it was different, but well, okay.
in terms of the committee members, commission members reading it, that's different than whether it's admissible or all the stuff you want to argue about. But we had it before us before.
You're correct.
So is there still an objection?
I just not. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I proceed?
Thank you. So I didn't get your last answer. I had asked, does this appear to be the email that you had just referenced Antonio Alfonso telling you about on Sunday?
It does.
Now, may I ask, have you previously made some comments about some of the allegations in this email, which may indicate that you've read it before? Have you in fact ever seen this or a copy of this email before today?
Yes.
Yes. Have you seen the entire email?
Yes, because I got it in a package for review with council.
Have you ever seen this email before council sent you a package?
I'm not sure. I know I read it in the paper.
Read it in the newspaper? Around the time that it became a public document?
Yes, and I don't think I saw it before then. And I didn't feel like I needed to see it because Tony had read it, portions of it to me over the phone.
He read portions of the email to you over the phone, some of the allegations. Do
Yes,
you recall which portions he read to you?
well, one was about the shoes. Um. Another was about opening the restaurant. And the cheese.
Is it your understanding that, that most of the allegations in this email concern things that David Patton said? Is that accurate?
Yes,
But there are some allegations in there that point to things that you said. Is that true?
could you be more specific?
Yes, I could. Well, let's go to the very first line of the email
Yes.
and read that out.
Their writing community outlined a series of bizarre, offensive, and unprofessional actions from David Patton and Director James Thorson on their visit. Jim Thorson on their visit to Philadelphia on Friday, March 10th.
Okay. If I could ask you to turn to page 2. And you see bullet points at the bottom of the page.
Yes.
Could you please read the second bullet point?
Yeah, I apologize, but again, it's either in evidence or it's not, and if he's reading from something that's in evidence, I don't know of any rule that allows that.
It's not been put in full. So right now, I think your objection is well taken. Until it's marked as a full exhibit, I don't think you should be asking him substantive questions about it. You should be qualifying it.
So may I ask, Mr. Thorson, is it your testimony today that the very first time you ever saw this email was when it was provided to you by your legal counsel in this ethics commission complaint?
No, I wouldn't say that, but I'd say the first time I saw it was in the paper.
When is the first time?
In June of 2023.
June of 2023. And did anyone from the governor's office ever email you a copy of?
No.
On the basis of this email and your receipt of it, did you contact your chief of staff and or anyone from HR to come up with a plan?
Objecting, I see the point in time when.
I think he was asking ever.
Yeah. I'll raise the question. That's fine. Okay. On the evening of Sunday, that's March 12th.
Correct.
Following the receipt of the call from Tony Afonso regarding this email from Jeff Britt,
Yes,
did you contact your chief of staff, Libby Kimsey?
yes.
And what was the purpose of that contact?
I'd have to have materials in front of me.
Well,
I'm sorry, I could not hear that.
I said I would have to have materials in front of me.
when they showed you, oh, you could turn to exhibit 27. E27.
Okay,
So at the bottom, there are 2 emails. The bottom email, purports to be from you to Pamela Mascarelli and Libby Kimsey on March 12th at 4:33 p.m. Is that correct?
yes.
Could you please read that email?
Subject line follow-up, Pam, Libby, need to talk about what happened last week and options to move forward. I spoke to Tony Afonso this afternoon. Pam, if you have a chance, please call me this evening. I want to make sure we are on solid ground. I also scheduled a call for 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, but at that time, I will need you to have already researched what I can do. I'm at the tail end of a family event and folks are filing out, but should be available after 7 p.m.
So that was the 4:33 email, and then at the top of the page is another email from a few hours later, 8:02 p.m. Could you read that?
Pam, Libby, I spoke independently with Paul, Ryan, and Elena Mertis regarding comments made at Thursday's gathering and the hearing. Also, Tony Afonso called after the scathing write-up by Scout detailed unprofessional and inappropriate behavior while we were in Philadelphia. We need to be prepared to take action tomorrow, and then I need to know what options we have. Dave is scheduled for a one-on-one at 9:30 a.m. tomorrow, and I need Pam there. Tony will also attend. Libby, I think you should not be in that meeting.
So this email, you reference that Tony Afonso called after a scathing write-up by Scout, detailed unprofessional and inappropriate behavior while we were in Philadelphia. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what it says.
Is that referring to your understanding to Exhibit 31, which was the email forwarded by Jeff Britt to Tony Afonso?
Yes,
And the next line is that where it says we need to be prepared to take action tomorrow, and I need to know what options we have. Does that in part reference taking action regarding this scathing write-up?
no, because I had met Friday evening with Pam and Libby about his behavior more specifically to ladder 133. And the question is that we need to get some substantiation and more information and sit down with people and talk to them. Understanding that this was Friday evening at the end of the workday. And, yeah, that's basically what it refers to.
Do you have any expectation that your meeting the next day is in any way going to involve the scathing write-up detailing unprofessional behavior by David Patton?
I'm sorry, the meeting which next day?
The meeting that's scheduled for 8 a.m. that you're calling for 8 a.m. the next day. Was it your expectation that it would in any way touch on the scathing write-up by Scout detailing unprofessional conduct by David Patton?
Well, absolutely, that was information that came in since the Friday meeting.
So at this time, I would like to move to put Exhibit 31 and its identical copies of 21 into evidence as a full exhibit. It is something that has been referenced. The witness has stated that he has reviewed the email even prior to the Ethics Commission proceedings. The email is a document that is available online on almost every public media outlet. It will be included in tomorrow's news story to cover this hearing. It was the subject of an Attorney General APRA opinion ruling that the governor violated the APRA by withholding that document and ordering him to release it. The governor's office has already publicly released the document. The governor's office and the Department of Administration have both provided it to the Ethics Commission under certification as a public record maintained in the regular course of both of those offices. And we've already made our arguments last week about hearsay and hearsay within hearsay, if it even qualifies as that, which I deny that it does. We know that under the Pasquale decision, hearsay is allowed in an administrative decision. And if hearsay is allowed, to the extent that this is hearsay within hearsay, which again, I deny that it is, that is also allowed, as would hearsay within hearsay, or triple or quadruple hearsay. And the analogy I would give you is, when an email, when a writing is handed to me, and I hand it to the next person, and they hand it to the third person, and then it finally finds its way to the court. It's not suddenly hearsay within hearsay. It might be hearsay, but in forwarding under these circumstances is the same way. It's an email that was forwarded, by the way, by Scout. So Jeff Britt, the person who sent the email, was Britt's paid representative, though he was part of Scout. Scout sent it to its paid lobbyist, the paid lobbyist sent it to the governor's office. So for all of these reasons, I would ask that the exhibit be marked as full. Thank you.
Bristow?
The exhibit
I
is,
know you're objecting.
yeah, hey, Jeff, thank you. And if the exhibit is coming in, offered not for the truth of the matters contained therein, but simply for the effect it had on Mr. Thorson's actions and mindset and thought processes, then I don't object to it. But I don't have a very, I understand we, 2 weeks ago, we had a long and lengthy discussion about, what, to what extent hearsay is admissible in administrative proceedings. Having said that, you know, some of the arguments I just heard about, well, it was in the paper, it was gonna be, it's gonna be on the news tomorrow. I just don't have any way of comprehending that as a trial attorney. That somehow makes it admissible. And the fact that it's disposable pursuant to an APRA request does not make it admissible as a public record under the run of use. So that was, I'm repeating myself, we've had that argument, understand it. The bottom line is, some of the arguments are, I didn't know how to respond to, but principally, if it's being offered for the truth of the matters, then there is, I object.
I just wanna, you can sit down, I just wanna make sure we all understand that although exhibit 21 and 31 were deferred at the hearing on March 3rd, that the discussion and arguments made on March 3rd will apply equally today as they did then, so that your record is preserved for both of you. Mr. Grammett offered for the truth of the matter or not?
No,
Offered in substance.
it's offered to show, it's not offered to. I mean, look, there are a lot of truths in there, but it's offered to show that he received a difficult write-up and the timing of when he received that write-up and who was aware of that write-up.
So it's not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted.
Correct.
I just have one more thought here.
You may.
I keep hearing he received it, he received it. He said he didn't receive it. It was received by someone else. He wasn't then, it wasn't forwarded to him. And if he first saw it in June, I don't think there's any action he took in June, July, or August of 2023 that in any way impacts the factual determinations or the decisions that the commission needs to make. I mean, it's, again, I know I said for the truth of the, I mean, if it's offered, excuse me, I'm gonna withdraw that. What I want to say simply is, I think that the word received is being used very, very loosely. And I think that he was made aware of it. I think portions of it were read to him. He said that. I said that at some point, my opening to you. But the bottom line is that he hasn't received it. And if he first received it in June, as he said, then there's nothing that he could have done with that information that's relevant.
Any members of the commission have questions for either Mr. Grammett or Mr.
That's all right.
As everybody on this commission knows, I have trouble with names. Mr. Bristow, anyone have any questions of either of them about this issue?
No, not a question, just.
We'll go next step after that. If there are no questions,
I'd like to, from the perspective of council. In any way, does it affect the proposed exhibit that Mr. Grammett has before us, the two exhibits? Is the position regarding admissibility is it affected by the affidavits that came in as a joint exhibit from by the two Scout representatives?
are they joint exhibits? I don't believe so.
It's not a joint exhibit. I apologize. Yeah, 31 and 32.
Whatever they are.
Oh, 30.
Right, they're, yeah, those
32 and 33.
were exhibits presented
Right.
and agreed to, but they're the prosecution's exhibit, correct?
Yeah, they did jointly, yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's the council, isn't it?
I'm referring to the affidavits that were
Yeah.
submitted
Yeah.
to the commission today,
Yes.
by both parties. From the two scout representatives.
Oh, which I haven't had a chance to read yet. I
Which we
misunderstood.
haven't seen.
Yeah, I
Correct.
misunderstood.
Well, they came in, they came in as a full exhibit.
Correct. We have,
So, I mean, it's in the past.
no, it's here.
Okay.
It's here in the package for sure. It's. Right now, we're trying to figure out whether we will exit exhibit 21 and 31 are gonna be admitted.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out, again, whether they're being offered for the truth of every single statement that's in there, or if they're being offered to show, as I think you said, the sort of way things happen, the timing of things.
That's exactly correct. The timing is critical to the prosecution's case.
So you're not relying on the hearsay in the exhibit, correct?
Correct.
And I think also, Mr. Bristow's point is that there's no evidence that the witness received email on Sunday, March 12th, but that he was aware of it. Is that correct?
He was aware of some portions that were read
Some portions that were read to him.
by the governor's chief of staff at the time.
Do you agree with that?
Yes, yes, I agree. The governor's chief of staff read portions of the email.
Is there a motion anyone would like, I think the commission has to decide the question, so is there a motion anyone would like to make here?
I'll make the motion to get it at the full exhibit.
Any discussion?
Has the chair ruled that my question regarding, what if any effect of the affidavits is not applicable at this time?
I think the question is, had anybody reviewed the affidavits, which I don't think anybody here had a chance to, because they were presented to us today. But I don't believe in my quick review that they mentioned that exhibit. That's the question. They do discuss, as I recall, certain things that happened that day. On how specific the way, because I haven't had a chance to study them. But that's my recollection. There's more to them than that, I might say.
If I could just be heard for a moment, right? Exhibits 32 and 33 would have been part of the binder of exhibits. And they were two of the exhibits that on the third were, there was no objection to them and they were, you're right, they were introduced this morning. I'm
So
sorry.
we didn't see those on March 3rd.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I need to keep that in mind. I'm sorry. I understand that. I only, in reference to Judge Santari's reference to those two affidavits, they are now in evidence.
Yeah.
And as I understand the application, there's the lack of application of the hearsay rule in administrative hearings. I think if you were to look at those affidavits, which were sworn statements versus an email forwarded by a lobbyist, I don't think it carries that kind of weight, and there are material contradictions. I think that you could weigh whether that's the type of hearsay you would want to accept in an administrative hearing. If I made myself clear.
As I understand the arguments of both of the attorneys with respect to the exhibit, what is it? 27,
21 and 30. Oh, no, 21 and 30.
21 and 31. Okay. The prosecution is not offering the exhibit, truth of the matter is asserted therein. And that being the case, the respondent has no objection to the admission of the exhibit, is that correct?
That's what I said when I first started.
Yeah. I just find it closer.
Yeah.
So is there a need for us to vote on admissibility at this point?
Fine, I think we still need to.
All right, so we have a motion pending, it's seconded by Commissioner Ritchie. The motion is to admit the exhibit as a full exhibit. Any discussion, further discussion?
Everything you say yes for a full exhibit, is that implying that we could rely on it for any purpose, or is?
It's being presented to us only for the,
Right.
for the fact of it being, not for the facts that are in it.
Got it.
Okay. Roll call vote, Commissioner Susan.
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson.
Aye.
Mr. Brown. Aye. Commissioner Callahan.
Aye.
Mr. Severino.
Aye.
Mr. Ravigan.
Aye.
Commissioner Ritchie.
Aye.
Commissioner Strauss.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Subject to the discussion we've had there.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown.
Shall I proceed?
Just so the record's clear, is that 21 and 31 or just 30?
It's-
One vote.
21 and 31 is close.
I motion for both.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Have it comfortable.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dorsey. Back with us. Thank you for your patience. Regarding your 8 a.m. planned meeting or phone call for Monday morning. Did that take place?
Yes,
Who were the participants and what was the meeting?
Pam Mascarelli. And my chief staff, Libby Kimsey and I. And I think Libby was in my office. And Pam virtual.
Did Anthony Afonso join you for that?
No.
No?
I don't think he was, I don't remember him being there for that.
He may have been there.
I don't think he was there for that.
And what did you discuss in that? At 8 a.m. on Monday morning?
We discussed the allegations that had been, elevated. By this time I had received an email about the specifics of the allegations. About the 133.
When you say the allegations, you refer to the allegations of Thursday night or the allegations?
Yes.
Friday.
Yes, that, and, also talked about the phone call I received from Tony. And what we were going to do. My concern was that I really didn't want to meet with Dave without HR. Because now we were talking about, a serious HR matter. That may even have, I didn't know whether it had any kind of HIPAA implications as well. So, it was a question of what do we do about this? And what are our options with respect to, do we put Dave on leave? What, we need to know more about him and the allegation of Scout, which were, surprising to me. And, so that's really what the meeting was about.
So,
And what we were going to do in the 9:30 meeting with Dave.
so is it fair to say that your 8 o'clock meeting was going to happen regardless of the Scout email, but that the Scout email added to the content of the discussion at the 8 a.m. meeting?
Actually, we had talked about it Friday, about meeting on Monday before meeting with Dave at 9:30, and I had asked him to sit in on that 9:30 meeting because of the discussion that we had on Friday.
Right, having to do with the Thursday night outing letter.
That's correct.
33.
So that was already set.
That was going to happen. And then, given your conversation with Tony Afonso and him reading you portions of the scathing email, which I'll refer, the email. Those allegations became part of the conversation.
I asked Tony to join us at the 9:30 meeting. When I talked to him on Sunday, I told him that I had already set up a meeting with Patton at 9:30 and Pam from HR, and I would be for him to be there.
Prior to your 9:30, so during your 8 o'clock conversation, did the subject of lunch at Irwin's come up?
Actually, it was shortly after, when my media communications person came in and said I got an inquiry about a receipt for lunch. And I said, Dave said he was gonna pay for that. And I realized I didn't see him pay for it. And by now I had questions as to whether he did. So I sent it, well, first I called Everett Abitall, I didn't get him. So then I sent him an email asking for a copy of the invoice. Which was my way of finding out whether he had paid, whether Patton had paid, because he would have given me a copy of, a paid invoice. Or he would have said that it wasn't paid. And so that's what I did. That's how that unfolded in between the 8 o'clock meeting and the 9:30 meeting. That's what I did.
So at or around 9 AM, did you send that email to Everett Abbott
Yes.
asking for a bill for the lunch?
Yes,
Thank you for the lunch. Please send me a bill.
yes, or a copy of the bill or something like that. I think I saw something in the package about.
So you're saying that up until this moment, you're saying that you thought that David Patton had paid for the meeting.
Well, let me just say that in light of everything that was unfurling between ladder 133 and then the stuff that with behavior at Scout, I didn't give lunch thought.
Okay.
Until it was mentioned to me, and when he told me that he was going by, I expected him to buy and then get with him. But then everything happened. And it was like, that was up here and lunch was down here.
Okay. Okay, so then, once again, then it was Monday morning when you began to think about, did Dave Patton pay for lunch?
Yeah,
So prior to that, had you ever asked David, did you pay for lunch?
no,
Not on Friday, not on Saturday, not on Sunday.
no.
Did you ask him on Monday?
I didn't ask him on Monday. What happened is that we had the meeting with Tony Afonso, who basically ran the meeting based on his memory of what was in the email and the discussion we had about ladder 133. He had no notes. I was amazed, but
Did he ask David Patton about solicitation gifts from
No.
tenants?
no,
Did he ask him about the shoes?
Yes,
He did.
yes.
What did he ask?
Did you take a pair of shoes? And and I told Dave that I said, I don't know what you thought you were doing after this meeting, but what you're doing is you are going to return those shoes immediately and send a letter of apology.
So that was you directing Dave to send the shoes back, not Tony Afonso?
Yeah. I mean, yes. Sorry.
So you sent that email to Everett and Scout inquiring about a bill and thanking them for lunch, correct?
Yes,
You didn't send an email to Irwin's Restaurant, is that right?
no, I didn't,
Or to Chef Michael Ferrari?
no,
Okay, just check.
I wouldn't even know how to do that.
And you did receive a bill from Scout eventually, is that right?
Yes,
Maybe on or about March 22nd?
that sounds about right.
Just show it to you. Right, we have exhibit 23. Yeah, is that? Which exhibit? It's exhibit 23, we'll go to the front page. Does that look to be the email that you received from Everett Abbott Bowl in response to your request for a bill?
Yes,
And could you read the first paragraph of the email, please?
Director Thorson, in response to your March 13th request, attached is an invoice for the private lunch held at Irwin's during your tour of Bach. Also, our attached number of invoices dating back to November 1st, 2022. We need these to be paid immediately and future invoices to be paid no later than 15 days after receipt. We have not charged any late fees or finance charges in the past. Going forward, if you do not receive payments in accordance with our invoice terms, a late fee and a finance charge will be assessed. While this is not my typical role, and the same for you, our requests for the invoices have resulted in 5 months of unpaid invoices. And as of April 1st, will exceed 155,000 in open invoices.
That's enough. Thank you. Do you agree that there were still some outstanding invoices due and owing to Scout at that time?
This was the first time that I remember him saying this to me. And there were some other emails that I had asked staff to look into and see that they get paid.
So you personally intervened in some outstanding invoices?
Well, it was, no, not until after I received this. In terms of personal intervention, is to ask staff, why is this being held up? But that process happens at least 2 and maybe even 3 levels below me. In the structure and from meeting. I didn't want to disrupt the chain of command.
Okay, very good. So sticking with this exhibit, showing you what you've already seen, which is been identified, which is the bill that he sent you. We noted that the per person charge was $131.15. Did you ultimately send a check to Scout?
Yes, I did.
Do you recall how much that was for?
$262.30.
Did you contest the amount of the bill?
No,
Do you recall who the check was made out to?
Scout.
To Scout. And does it sound correct that that check was sent sometime in April?
Yes.
Can I just have a moment? Just for a moment, I just need 15 seconds. Take your time. No further questions. Thank you, Mr. Thorson.
Mr. Bristow. I'm gonna bring the podium up, Mr. Bristow. I'm just gonna be very quick, so.
I'll move out of the way so as not to be in between Mr. Thorson and Mr.
Mr. Bristow's been standing. Do I have enough to stick on with that? We'll take a 5-minute break to accommodate Mr. Thorson and anyone else in the room who's take a quick break. Fine, glad you joined us.
Still on the record, I'm gonna pause the recording.
Sure.
You want to place here?
I'm not worried about that at all.